Hello, everyone. My name is Kyle Johnson, and I'm the Director of Security Operations and Risk Management for Qumulus Solutions. Uh, we've been continuing this webinar series, and we're finally at the third and final one. So today we're really going to be talking about employee awareness training and how that's so important when it comes to an information security program. And so this webinar series, we've been really partnering with a few of the regional organizations that we have been working with for, even the last couple of years. And it's really to form that true partnership when tackling some of their cybersecurity challenges that they may face in their organization. First off, for those that may not know, Qumulus helps provide organizations with access to the people, expertise, and technology needed to assist them with developing and reviewing their information security programs. And as we all know, employees can be either your weakest link in an organization or your strongest defense when it comes to cybersecurity. So really having a well-rounded, thorough employee awareness training program that not only gives them, information, but it's their, it's the tools in their tool bag that they can really, help them stop attacks, really understand, what a phishing email is and how they can go about remediating that. So with that being said, I want to bring in Irvin Smith, who is the Deputy IT Director for St. Joseph County, and Scott Seneff, who is the Director of IT for St. Joseph County.
Hi, Kyle.
Hey guys, welcome to the webinar. So,
thank you.
So we've been partners with St. Joseph County now for about a year, and it really started with talking about employee awareness training and understanding, what they were trying to accomplish, how Qumulus can really fill that void, and really go about tackling some of those different challenges that employees are facing on a daily basis. Obviously, we all know that phishing is still the #1 way to get into an organization, simply because it has that human element, and it's really understanding, what it takes in order to change people's mindsets and give them the tools necessary to understand what phishing is and social engineering and all those different things that make up what they need to know about. So thanks for joining us, and I guess we'll jump right into it. So the first question that I would have would be, why do it? Because we're still finding organizations don't want to tackle that employee standpoint, even though it's probably arguably one of the most important. So why even choose to implement something like that?
Well, it can be challenging for employees, but it can also be challenging for the IT department as well. Keeping track of emails that are coming in and, employees clicking this and clicking that. We know with the number of viruses and malicious emails going around, we knew we needed to implement some training for the end users to help them become more aware of security. We understand that the end user is kind of like a firewall that we need to update now and again.
Yeah, absolutely. And you make a good point as far as, IT is there to, do the networking, keep the lights on, refresh machines, and do all those things. But it's also, security, kind of being, part of your role, even if you didn't even sign up for it. So it's something that security is an undertaking that every organization has to deal with at some point. And it's really, how are you going to be proactive with that? So you're right. You could be, it could be a random Tuesday afternoon and you're going to get an influx of phishing emails because, things are just being attacked and coming in and all of those different things. So, you make a great point as far as a resource standpoint, that will take some of the kind of the pain off of you guys as far as dealing with some of those incidents when you're, giving those employees the necessary knowledge and the tools that they need in order to actually remediate some of those things. So that's a very great point. So with this program, so our program is a little unique. We have, we come out and we'll be on site. We will, provide the online training. So there's a lot of components to this. So I guess what were some of the different reservations or concerns you may have had before you actually implemented the actual program?
Didn't have too many reservations, but one of the reservations was that we didn't want employees to just brush it off. We wanted them to take in the information And one of my concerns was that, you know, maybe the material would be boring or the end user wouldn't take in the information like we wanted them to.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's that fine line of kind of being quirky in a sense with the training, but also, you know, being serious and having those real, you know, this is what can really happen. So you have to kind of find that balance between, you know, the fun kind of game like training, because you want people to interact with it. You want people not to just set it aside, like you just said. You know, if they have 3 screens up, they're going to put it on the left screen and then just let it play for the rest of the day. You know, those types of things, you know, you don't want to happen. So it's also about having, you know, kind of the right you know, length of training and different things like that. But I think, you know, there's some good and you know, there's positives and negatives that you're never going to, you know, make everyone happy. You know, we've talked about this many times. It's somebody's gonna complain about, you know, the game that they have to play for, you know, 2 minutes, or, you know, the 30-minute training, you know. So you're never going to make everybody happy, but it's got to be the content that you guys feel most comfortable with, you know, providing to the county, because it's really just an extension of your guys' team. So, you know, obviously, since you didn't have, you know, many concerns, but how did we help iron those out, or make it more of a kind of a more accepted program control, if you will, that when we came in to help that?
Well, with the on-site training, you did really well on keeping the training sessions not too long, just about the right time for employees not to get too bored with it. And I think that, you know, giving us the material, the review before you set it out was helpful, in that we were able to pick the content for the training that was most relevant and interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we relied heavily on you guys as far as the opinions go for not only the training but the phishing emails and some of the different simulated tests that we run in order to provide them with the most content. You know, we don't want to just randomly pick things that we think are going to be useful. We want that to be, you know, coming from you guys, because again, we're an extension of your team, so it needs to be, you know, heavily involved. And we talked right from the get-go as far as, you know, kind of the importance of getting out in front of people. You know, we've talked many times before about how, you know, you guys preaching something may not get through to somebody as quickly as or as well as bringing in a third party to actually talk about those things. So I think, you know, when we did come on site, and obviously, you know, the news picked it up, it was a pretty big deal when we did that, and we had a great turnout. You know, people were taking time out of their day, and it shows that not only, you know, you guys are saying it's important, but other people feel that it's important as well, to actually be able to take time out of their day and actually attend those things. And obviously, you know, we'll get back to that at some point, you know, once things have, you know, kind of, you know, go back to normal, if you will, quote unquote. But, you know, at the same time,
Never gonna happen.
yeah, right. But, you know, right at the same time, we have, you know, we have great technology, and, you know, obviously we've been talking, you know, kind of putting something in the works as far as, you know, having a Zoom call like this and just talking to people about cybersecurity, just keeping that conversation going, I think is one of the most important things. And obviously, you know, all three of us have all agreed on that, you know, and that's really kind of pushed the program, you know, forward with, you know, if you will. So, you know, you have, you know, obviously some, you know, talking about content and what's being put out there, but give me some more examples about, you know, what it would, you know, what are some of the important items that organizations actually should consider when trying to implement, you know, a successful employee awareness training program?
I think number one, the material should be communicated clearly and for the employees to take the information in. They should cover multiple areas of cybersecurity, including passwords, email, clean desk policy, and more. It should encompass everything pertaining to sensitive data, personally identifiable information, protected health information, just that it can meet those requirements that are put on by regulation.
Yeah, and I think you make a great point as far as it being, you know, content that they can actually understand, because you know, security isn't their job. So throwing out, you know, big industry words or, you know, something like that at people constantly isn't going to get the job done. And that's why, you know, coming in and giving them the online training is great because it explains things, but having that face-to-face conversation and getting in front of people to let them ask questions, you know, what do you mean by such and such, you know, let's explain a phishing attack. Let's explain what can happen or what to look out for. So, you know, you make a great point there is really getting, you know, people to understand exactly what we're trying to, you know, teach them and let them take that back, you know, not only to, you know, their work departments, but their home life as well. You know, that's a huge piece of it. You know, you don't want their, you know, their kids getting into things that they shouldn't be doing, you know, at home, and then obviously bringing that device back into work, and boom, all of a sudden you're now infected, you know, at the network level. So there's a lot of different things that we like to cover. So yeah, that's a great point, is making sure that it's understandable for everyone and not just, you know, us doing it, you know, for our daily jobs. So, you know, obviously we've been at it for close to a year now. You know, obviously starting out, everybody is going to have, you know, higher numbers no matter what it, you know, no matter the industry, no matter the organization. You're tricking employees. That's why it's so kind of popular, you know, and one of the fastest and easiest ways in order to get into an organization is because it's that human component. So it's not, you know, the phishing tests are not designed to say, haha, I got you. It's really that learning moment, that teaching moment to say, you know, why was this a phishing email and what could I have done differently in order to actually understand that this was, you know, something bad and malicious versus, you know, the actual email from your boss. So what, you know, have we seen, you know, have you guys seen positive results, you know, from this, with, you know, examples being, you know, more people sending in, you know, actual phishing emails, or even just talking about security in general?
Yes, we've seen multiple positive responses from our employees. They're put in help desk tickets when they get a suspicious email, and then it gives us opportunities to educate them on, you know, what to look for, or how is this a, you know, phishing email or malicious email. Um, I mean,
Yeah.
the response with the phishing campaign, we've seen the numbers go down.
Yeah, our numbers are getting better, and you know, you guys provide a lot of really good statistical feedback on that. In terms of, you know, them clicking by percentage getting better. It's not as good as we'd like to see it, obviously, but you know, certainly improvements. But we've noticed a lot, like Herb said, we're just daily. I mean, I'll get, you know, I communicate with a different bunch of, you know, upper level people at the county, and they like to send me, you know, these, like, should I open this, you know. They don't open tickets all the time, but a lot of people are opening tickets. So thanks for creating more work for us, Kyle.
Yeah, right. That's exactly. But you know, that was obviously one of the goals that we talked about with this, was not only giving them, you know, hey, you know, do this on your own, but knowing when to bring in you guys to ask for help. I think that's that's obviously one of the most important things as well, is because, you know, it's not their job to understand what a header is going to be in an email and what to look for, you know, as far as IP addresses and all those different technical components that, you know, the kind of the remediation step takes. So looking at that, you know, obviously we want that communication to be greater and continuing, yes, to give you guys more work, obviously, but you know, that's obviously, it's a good thing. You know, it's a good problem to have when people are coming to you for advice instead of actually just clicking it, and then now you're spending even more time, you know, trying to remediate an issue versus, you know, taking a little bit of time to look at the email. So that's obviously a great point, but it's something that obviously is a goal of ours, to create that conversation starter and really get them more involved in sending those. So, you know, again, we go back to security also sometimes not being, you know, much of a priority, and you know, there's always going to be a human element in cybersecurity, because you know, people are still reading email and they're still browsing on the internet. There's going to be that failure, if you will, that could potentially happen. You know, people may be the most savvy, you know, cybersecurity or IT person in the world, but as soon as they get into a hurry and something doesn't, you know, they're not, you know, something else is going on in their life and they're not, you know, top of mind with security or IT like they normally would be, that could slip so easily in order for that to, you know, kind of happen. So, you know, there has to be some sort of training. And again, we're not saying that implementing this, you know, you're not going to get, you know, a phishing attack and you're not going to, you know, somebody's not going to click on that. That's obviously not what we're saying, but it's again, it's reducing the risk and it's showing that, you know, it's another piece to the puzzle. You know, when we talk about, you know, we chatted about the risk assessment piece of it. You know, it's that piece of the puzzle that you're showing, you know, regulators, you're showing the insurance people that I'm doing all of these different things to try to reduce my risk. You know, things are still going to happen, but our risk is going to be greatly reduced because we're doing certain things like employee awareness training. So, you know, with that being said, you know, obviously we're having some positive results with that, which is, you know, you guys kind of jumped in head first with it and without having, you know, any sort of, you know, there was one-off trainings, there was emails and different things like that obviously before, but as far as having a repeatable program, you know, going, you know, obviously we're getting ready to start another phishing campaign here soon. So having that continuous kind of program going has never been the case. So, you know, you guys have overcome that. So really, why, you know, why would you recommend, you know, other organizations, even local governments or something like that? You know, it doesn't even have to be local governments, but just organizations in general, implementing a, you know, kind of an employee awareness training program.
I think, you know, organizations holds the key to a lot of sensitive information. And I think it's important that they understand how their employees can act as a human firewall to stop a lot of viruses and malware from gaining access inside a network. And to put that into the employees' hands, give them that knowledge and ability to stop things before they become a problem is probably the number one reason.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you know, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. So it's, you know, it's nice to hear, you know, people that are dealing with, you know, issues and different things like that, that they're, you know, being proactive and really showing that, you know, here's what we need to do and we know why we need to do it. It's just getting everybody on board. And then again, it goes back to kind of that executive buy-in, you know, right from the get-go. I think it was probably our second or third meeting, you know, we had the commissioners sitting with us and talking to us about these things and really getting them fully on board as to why and to what the program will actually entail and how it's going to work. And really there's been, you know, short of the initial, you know, setup and, you know, kind of the maintaining of different things, you know, there's a lot of hands-off work that you guys have, you know, that would not normally be there if you were to keep this in-house. So, you know, having that whole managed program for you guys is really kind of alleviating some of those resource constraints on your end. Not saying that you can't do it. It's just the resources are so tied up sometimes with organizations. It's bringing in those people to actually help you manage that is, you know, something that, you know, we've obviously greatly appreciated the you know, the ability to actually do that for you guys and work with you in partnership, you know, in a partnership as an extension of your team to tackle some of these things. So, you know, again, we have some great things coming down that, you know, continuing to do the phishing campaigns and really just spreading that awareness and communication to all departments and all employees of the county. And then, you know, that in turn can have a domino effect. You know, they tell their friends about it and it just creates the whole cybersecurity, not even just business for us, but just in general. I love the fact that people talk about cybersecurity. You know, you don't ever want to see it on the news, but it's nice when the news does cover things because it gets people thinking about it. And it's, you know, it's getting them, you know, kind of top of mind and understanding, you know, hey, I shouldn't use dog123 as my password anymore because of this reason. So, yeah, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to join us for, you know, this webinar series and, you know, look forward to continuing the partnership.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.